Okay, today, guys, we're talking to Lori Goetz about real estate perspectives. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm so glad that you
Thank
came and joined me to sit down. Okay, my first question is kind of silly, but have you ever thought, or has anybody ever recommended that you market yourself as the goat? I've been thinking about that now for some time. I'm like, I really like
I tried the hashtag. I did try the hashtag, but nobody commented, so I was like, I don't know.
I love it, yeah.
Maybe it's not right. I don't know.
I was thinking about that all night, and I was like, do I ask her that? Do I not?
Well, you did.
We're gonna do
Okay.
it. Rip the bandage off right from the beginning. I love it. So tell me, how long have you been in real estate?
So got licensed the end of 2014.
Okay, and what did you do before real estate?
I was a registered nurse.
Really?
Yeah.
How long were you a nurse for?
Well, if I tell you, you're gonna know how old I am. No, 21 years.
Really?
Yeah, and so I stopped to homeschool the kids and raise the kids and all that, and then a good friend of mine was in real estate. She was a realtor, and I kind of lived her little crazy real estate stories, you know. I was like, that sounds awesome. So anyway, one day, my kids are now grown, and she's like, give me 10 hours from home and just do, back office stuff. I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then it was 20, and then somebody called me to list her house. I was like, I'm not a realtor, just helping a realtor. My husband's like, you ought to do it. So I did.
So you started as an assistant, and how long did you do that for? Or, I mean, I guess somewhat of an assistant,
I
sounds
would
like?
say maybe a year and a half, something like
Wow.
that, yeah.
So once you got licensed, what company did you start with?
It was Southeast Texas Properties, which is Julie Sanders.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So when did you come to RE/MAX?
So, I'm not a date person. I was probably with Julie like a year and a half, I'd say, and she was moving her Lumberton office back to Mid-County, and I was really Lumberton. And I wanted to be at RE/MAX, but I was scared of y'all. Isn't that weird? Yeah, it was just like, I was terrified. No, but I was just like, I don't know, I don't really want to do RE/MAX. It's scary. And then
What was the scary part about it, do you feel like? Was it intimidating?
I think, because that guy right over there. He's terrifying.
And I'm so nice.
Oh.
Unless you
Unless
you wear
That just happened.
I've always been the same person.
unless you wear a ring of
We always
peace on
blame
your
Mark for
Yeah.
everything.
Or you from a white ancestor later day.
Or a picture of the toilet.
or the door.
Yeah.
So what
That
made you
terrified me.
decide to go ahead and
Sure.
move forward on it, even though you
Well,
were scared of it?
So it was good timing. So Katie Martin wanted me to come on her team, and at the time it sounded like a great idea, and it was, because it got me in RE/MAX, and so then that played out in about a year, and then I was solo.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So how long in, after you'd gotten off her team and you were solo, did you decide to start a team for yourself?
See, dates.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm an estimate, we can talk ballparks.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I've been doing the team. Do you know? 3 years, maybe
Yeah, I was going
4,
to say, it
something like
hasn't been that
that.
long, because Stephanie just celebrated 3 years.
3 years. So I think probably Stephanie was kind of early on, huh? So 3 and a half, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And what do you feel like it was
Right.
about your
Definitely
business or
right.
the point you were in your business that made you feel like you were ready or that you
Well,
needed to
I got to a point. I like to you define success in a lot of different ways,
Absolutely.
and so mine is just where my happy life is and my happy pocketbook and all of that. And so I had kind of found that spot, but my business just kept growing, and so I thought, well, my business plan, which is weird, but my business plan for that year was to slow things down, and it did not happen. And so I was like, okay, now how can I slow this thing down? So then I just thought, well, let me kind of duplicate myself and let somebody take some of the stuff I don't want to do or don't have time to do, and so that's really why I did it.
I love that.
When,
No, jump on
I was
it.
thinking, when you created the team and you decided that's what you wanted to do and duplicate yourself, did you carry any of what your team experience was like as a team member into creating your team as the leader?
Yeah, I learned things, good and bad, as we all do with all experiences, and so I just took the good and the bad, you kind of reverse it, and you go, oh, well, I don't want this, so, like I wanted them to be able to market themselves, for example, or, put their, capture their sales on Zillow, for example, things like that, so.
You said that you had created a business plan, and I love that you brought that up. Are you someone who does that every year, creates a business plan? Have you done that since the beginning, or who
Yeah, so, okay.
taught you that?
Okay, so I do that as a family too. So we have, because really your core business is your family.
I love
you know,
that.
Really. And so we have goals. Now the kids are older, so they're not into it as much, you know. I'm like, sit down.
Very too-
We're talking business.
Here's a fruit tray. I don't know. But you know, I do. I have the goals like, what do we want to do this year as a family, and kind of what's our message to the world, if you will. You know.
I love that.
Yeah.
What influenced you to start doing that?
I was in management most of my years in nursing, and so we just, I mean, it's just kind of what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you, at the end of the year, look back and see, you know, like take that time to realize of what goals you
Oh, yeah,
accomplished
yeah.
or not?
Yeah.
I love
And I
that.
do it mid-year too, because you get sidetracked. You know, you think, oh, I'm on this, I'm going, you know, I've got it going, and then you look at your numbers, you're like, wait, what happened, you know? So you have to kind of redirect mid-year.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I like that you said that you were deciding to cut back, because I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about that, especially after the crazy year last year, that sometimes it is a conscious
Yeah.
decision, and that's okay too. You know, whenever we talk about abundance and things like that,
Yeah.
it's really balancing both, so I think that that's awesome. So the systems that you had for taking on a team member, who taught you those, or is it something that you took, like she said, a little bit from each team that you're
Yeah.
on and kind of developed your
A
own?
little bit from each, and I was in management for so many years, so it's just sort of a natural progression on how to, you know, teach somebody and train them, and the
Mhm.
processes and all of that kind of stuff, you know.
Do you feel like since early on, whenever you got into real estate, that you viewed it as a business and you as a business
Okay,
owner
here's
or
what's freaky.
entrepreneur?
So, literally, I think this is the first year I feel like a realtor.
Really?
I know that's weird, but like every year I tell my husband, I'm like, I feel like I'm playing realtor, like I'm not legitimately a realtor. I don't know why, it just seems weird. I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but I guess because I was an RN for so many years, you know, and I think, yeah, okay, I'm selling stuff and I'm doing okay.
I know
and-
things.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know why, but like this year I'm like, yeah, I'm a freaking realtor. Yeah, capital R.
Yeah.
That's funny. I love that. So you do investments as well in property, or you have before?
I have some.
When, how early on did you get started in that?
Prior to becoming a realtor.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that part of what influenced you whenever you got into it? Was that you?
No. I mean, I liked real estate, and like I said, really, I just sort of fell into it. But once I started doing it, when I first started, I was kind of thinking, well, you know, because I was so used to taking care of people, and that's my vibe. That's what I like to do. And so I was like, how do you take care of people in real estate? Like, that doesn't make sense, you know, but you do, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, you know, you become a part of their family, and hopefully for life. That's what the goal is. And, you know, so, what'd you say?
So, sorry, for 6 weeks you talk to them every day, and then
I know, then they just like disappear. You're like, wait, don't you care about me anymore?
That's so funny.
Right?
So
Yeah.
what's been the most impactful thing that you've gone through in your real estate career? Whether it was-
Harvey, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah.
When I look at my, you know, I have all my numbers in columns, you know, in a spreadsheet. And it's crazy because 2017, right, is the end of 2017 when Harvey hit. And like, real estate stopped. I mean, it was, whatever you had under contract had to go, you know, appraisers had to go back out and reassess, make sure there was no damage. Some people lost everything. We had appraisers that were out, we had lenders that were out. I mean,
Yeah,
just-
everyone
and
was affected.
In my bubble, that was the community I serviced the most.
Yeah.
So it really affected, I thought, holy cow, this is it. Here, you know, this is gonna be the end of it.
Yeah.
And in 2018, I made the most money I've ever made.
Wow.
And how that was, or I kind of think, I have this little Facebook page, Discover Southeast Texas, and in my community we were flooded, but there was 2 houses that didn't, mine and the people across the street, and I was bored, obviously, and so I
You
was
feel like you're
canoeing
on
in the
an island.
neighborhood.
Yeah, I was about to say, you feel like you're on an island.
Yeah,
now,
I was snickering the kids into, you know, going canoeing with me, so I was like, let's canoe the neighborhood.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
literally. And I was one of the first in the Rolling Hills Loop, which is Lumberton. And people started texting me while I was doing it, because I did a little live. Can you go by my house? Can you go by my house? So I'm taking pictures of random people's houses, and then people started, once everything was kind of back in action, hey, you took a picture of my house, we really never forgot it, and can you
Yeah.
sell my dad's house? It's flooded and gutted. Sure. And so then I kind of became the flooded and gutted queen, which is no crown for sure.
That's so funny though, but yeah.
When you talked about, in nursing, taking care of people, and then you talk about taking care of them in real estate, what are your favorite ways to take care of your real estate clients? And do you see any parallels back to
Yeah,
nursing?
I would say listening, because they're freaking out most of the time, and so you just kind of try to keep people calm and show them that you care. You're not there just to make a sale and stuff like that. What? I can't.
Give it- You give them drugs.
Drugs and
And then, yeah, there is that,
So
That's what we give to us, right?
you're so funny. So what does an average day in your real estate life look like? Being a home-based agent, I know that
Yeah.
you have to stay focused, especially in that.
Yeah, well, I have the evening before I write out my little, here's what I'm doing, and I put workout on my schedule every day, but it doesn't happen. It is there every day, though. It's in pencil, I will tell you.
That's so funny.
It's a suggestion. It's not a requirement.
I'm trying to manifest this.
Right.
And years from now, when you go back and review what you did, all those days, look.
I feel like I worked out. It's right there.
I see now.
The next day, because you think, I'm going to have an office day. Today's an office day. I'm knocking out some stuff, and then,
your phone rings.
yeah, right? And then it's just one appointment after the next. So I get up the same time every morning on work days. And then, I get ready even if I don't think I have anywhere to go. I'm ready. I sit at my desk the same time every day.
Yeah.
I do the same thing every day. And if I don't have an appointment, then I'm trying to create one,
Yeah. And what kind of ways do you go about trying to create appointments or generate business?
A ton of different ways. But, calling people mainly.
Yeah, reaching out
just
to your
checking
sphere and
on, checking on people.
Do you feel like it's hard working as a home-based agent with dealing with distractions, or how do you manage that with your home life? Are you like, nobody in here from this time to that?
Yeah, so I have a dedicated room, and the only thing that's annoying is I do have a dog, and so, I keep my door shut most of the time, and it's glass paned, and I have those little AirPods, so no one knows if I'm on the phone or not, if I'm talking to myself. And so they'll stand at the door, and they'll be like this, my family, I'm like, do this, I can see my earbud,
That's so funny.
Yeah, so, I just stay in, I do that, but I throw a load of laundry in and talk to people at the same time, and
Yeah.
I never say, it's okay now to home office.
Yeah.
It wasn't pre-COVID. It didn't seem like as okay. And so I just say, I'll check on that when I get back to my desk. I don't ever say when I get back home.
Yeah.
And I always tell my team, don't ever not meet an appointment because you picked up a kid or you had an appointment.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. So words are very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Absolutely. So whenever you did take on Stephanie as your team member, how did you go about training her? Did you have things in place of how you wanted her to build her business and things that you stressed? What did you? What do you
Yeah,
think is
so
the
I
most
have a
important
big
thing for you?
process, and it's kind of broken down in chunks, so it's not so overwhelming. So it's even before you really make your announcement, that, I'm a realtor now, kind of a thing. It's, let's get your Facebook right and get your email signature right. Let's do all these little things. And so it's basically phase one. They check, and then once you finish that, phase two, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So you can hit the ground running as soon as you
Yeah.
announce. I like that a lot. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So I had asked you about your investment property and things like that, but can you tell them a little bit more about some of those investment properties and also the other businesses that you're involved in? Did that happen after real estate? Like,
Yeah, the other businesses
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, so,
just for those that aren't aware?
yeah, so as far as investment properties go, I just have rent houses, and then I had an Airbnb.
Do you
which
still
was,
have that?
No.
I was wondering
I
that.
sold that. So that was a great money maker for me. It really was. It's just that it's a high turnover. People stay for 3 days and maybe 5 days. You've got to get it clean. You've got to get it restocked. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. But I was blessed because I had somebody. It's over there at DMB 190 and 92. Little bitty place. and it stayed rented all the time. But I had a little lady that kind of took it on, and she did all my restocking, and she did everything. So that was an interesting, you know, it was good. Just for me, it sucked the joy out of my life. You know,
Really?
so I was just like, flick it away.
Yeah, I know I hear from other people, like Mark especially, but it's like, I just didn't want to be a landlord, like, it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
so I
Well, some
I
of
think
my
that's good to
properties,
recognize.
I have Remax is managing, and then some I manage my own.
Yeah.
And it's only because the ones I keep is, I think I've had the same tenant 7 years on one of my houses, and I just don't have to really.
Being that it's kind of a parallel running business with being a real estate agent, has it helped your real estate business at all as well, as far as like having renters, because eventually they're gonna buy typically? Or...
Yeah, it's not the renters as much as I would say it's co-investors, you know, so other people, and you kind of understand what they're looking for, which is actually was my very first client, was an investor.
Really?
It was in the days when foreclosures were just like everywhere, you know,
Uh-huh.
and so you're just putting in multitude of bids and only getting some, you
Yeah.
know. But I've got a ton of investors, and so it's repeat business. And those investors from then were like $50,000 homes, and now one of them's a home builder. One is, you know, I've got a $400,000 listing from another. You know, they're just in a different category
Yeah.
now, so it's just kind of where I fell.
That's cool to hear those relationships develop into that, because
Yeah.
I always ask people whenever they have a relationship, a deep relationship with a builder, how that happens, how do they end up that way? But that's kind of cool, because it's like y'all grew into
Yeah,
your
yeah.
positions together. I love that
Yeah.
very much, yeah. So in the other business, if you'll share that, that's not,
Certinos, so
Yeah.
we have Certinos at HEB Plus, and really, I don't do anything with that too much. My son, who is in business, he's got one more year, half a year, I think, for his business degree. He runs it, because he was at the main Certinos, and he said, Mom, they're selling, you know, they want to sell it for whatever it was, and I was thinking, it's kind of like a rent house, you know, kind of, as far as the money went.
Yeah.
And looked at the numbers, it made sense. I said, as long as you run it, you know, 100%, because I want to, that's one of our business things, you know, for our family, is create opportunities for the kiddos, and hopefully they take them,
Yeah.
you know. But he's done very well, because he's learned inventory and hiring and firing and, you know,
Yeah.
and all that kind of junk, customer relations and all of that.
And how
Does-
old is he?
He is 20. Yeah.
So this is a coffee shop in?
In HEB Plus.
I support them all the time.
Yeah.
I know, that's what me and Callie were saying
So
too.
sweet, the little girls that work
Oh,
there are so
good,
sweet.
good.
So does that go into your business plan, like different ventures each year whenever you sit down and do it, of like, hey, anybody wanna, what are we thinking we may wanna start this year or grow
Yeah,
into?
so, well, there's Certinas, as soon as Caden graduates, I'm sure he's, you know, gonna do something other than that. So I'll be selling it if anyone wants it. Because I really don't do, I mean, I do the bookkeeping side of it, basically, you know, the money side of things, and that's about it. So, but yeah, as far as like what we're looking for as a family, investment wise and stuff, no, that's probably more, even my husband doesn't care so much about it. It's me going, hey, y'all, let's do this. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay,
That's funny.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah. So I'm trying to do the math myself for it. So what, have you been in it now 8 years? Is that right? Am I adding right? 2014, she said? Yeah. So how have you prevented burnout or those times? Because we know that we all go through those times that you're,
Yeah, you should, yeah,
Overwhelmed.
probably wine at night. And those pills you were talking about. No, that's, I mean, honestly, setting boundaries is, it's hard for me, because I like to just, if you have something you want, I'm ready to provide. You know, and so it's hard for me, but, and because I work at home, I don't leave my office. So, yeah, it's hard for me, but I've kind of, like, I put my thing on Do Not Disturb, like at 8. I do have my phone up, so I'll see it, but it just won't ding everybody in the house, nobody knows it's there. And I do let things sit, you know.
does that influence any of the conversations that you have with your clients at the beginning, like as far as managing expectations, like telling them, listen, if you reach
Right.
out to me after this time, do you?
So what I just ask them how they prefer to communicate, because everybody's different. But no, I do it on the sly. Like, I don't just say, don't call me after 8. I want to say that, but
Yeah.
I don't. Don't call me on Saturday. Don't call me at 7 on Sunday. I just let it sort of I just don't respond after 8. You know, unless, I mean, there are real estate emergencies, right? I mean, sometimes, kind of,
Yeah.
and I will respond to those.
Have you ever had any situations where somebody has been upset about you setting that boundary and you had to stand your ground?
Because they're totally unaware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, we all have those clients that just, right? And you do have to deal, I mean, you just have to deal with
Yeah.
them. They drive you crazy.
Is that a lesson that you learned over time? Like, have you set that boundary from the beginning, or is it something that you used to?
Yeah, early on, I was just guns a-blazing, you know, just ready to go, and I don't care what, and I was gonna, you know, like the posts you see from realtors saying, you know, I'm your realtor 24/7. No, we're professionals, you know,
Yeah.
and we have families, and we have other commitments, and to be successful in all the arenas, you have to have some boundaries for all of those.
Absolutely.
All of those. So, like I just do it on the sly.
Yeah.
I don't just actually come out and say, don't, you know, this is my best time to call or don't call. And it usually works out.
Yeah. What's your biggest piece of advice or best piece of advice that you would give to a new agent starting out? Whether it is on setting boundaries like that
Yeah.
or prioritizing your business.
I would say setting boundaries is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And that's real hard when you're starting out because you want the sale,
Yeah.
you know, and you want to make people happy and you want to be the best realtor ever. But that's one of the things I do train the team on is how to set boundaries. And that's how to let people talk to you. And, you know, so it's how you respond back to them when they talk crazy talk or, you know, they want to call you at 9 o'clock at night.
Are you one of those people that's like, take a few breaths, don't answer back right away? Or how is it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
No, but so, what's your piece of advice you would give yourself now, if you could talk back to rookie
Yeah.
Lori?
I mean, that would
Since
be
you did
one
set
is
that,
to, you know, set my boundaries, and then the other is to kind of chill,
Yeah,
you know, because you lose a deal and you think, oh, this is horrible, you know, or somebody gets a deal, you know, you had competitive listing appointment and somebody else got it, and
Yeah.
but then you realize sometimes I get them and sometimes somebody else doesn't, or sometimes I transact somebody's client, didn't know it, that they had used, you know, in the past, and sometimes they get mine. I mean,
yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, you can't take it too personal. It does feel like a gut punch the first
I know,
time.
it does, yeah.
But you know, I remember whenever I had it happen to me at first, and hearing from some of the other ones in here, it really was, I don't want to say nice, because you don't want anybody else to have
Yeah.
gone through it, but it was
But yeah.
nice to know that, okay, it happens to everyone, and now I find
Yeah.
myself saying it to newer ones too, but.
Because it's like if you have a listing that expires and then, you know how it is, it gets listed somewhere else and it just sells, you're like, what?
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it happens, right? And it had nothing to do with you personally. I mean,
Yeah.
you did your job, you did all the things you needed to do. It was just that buyer popped up at the right time. So
Yeah.
just calm down.
And they reduced it 50,000.
And
Yeah.
they reduced it to where they tell,
They wouldn't reduce
where
it
you
for
told
you.
them,
Yeah.
yeah, that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so how do you unplug to do things like go on vacations or things like that? Are you somebody that struggles with that, or do you?
I travel a lot.
Do you?
And so I've gotten really good at doing that. You have to put yourself in a headspace of, I'm in the Disney World line making money. I mean, either that or I'm miserable answering texts.
Yeah.
So I say, I'm working from everywhere. Like, I wrote a contract on a plane.
Yeah.
You just pay for internet. I'm like, this is like great, right? I mean, so I just do that. Like if I'm on vacation, I pay internet on the plane. I get everything done so when my feet hit the ground, I'm hopefully ready to hit the ground. Keep my phone on silent so my family isn't fully aware.
Yeah.
But nowadays, everybody texts all the time, so it's no big deal. You know, used to, like when I first started, it was like, I'm in the Disney line doing this, and the family's like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? But everybody's doing it now, so they don't know if I'm on business or pleasure.
Yeah. Are there any other major changes that you see in real estate now or the market now from when you first started?
You talking about the market now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But you know what? That is what the deal is.
Yeah.
Is that it's always weird.
Yeah.
It's always weird.
Yeah.
It's either
Just
killer
think you're
weird,
weird, yeah.
right? I mean, it's either like, oh my gosh, I mean, you can just think about selling something that's going to sell
Yeah.
weird, or you can list it and you're going, these are all going to expire.
Yeah.
I mean, what is going on?
I know, and some of them you think are just going to fly off, and you're
Yes.
like, well, that didn't
What the
turn out
heck
like I thought.
happens, you know? And
Yeah.
so the market's always weird, and so
Yeah.
you have to flex. And
Any big changes in real estate, like as being a realtor? I think about some of the ones that started so long ago that didn't have GPS, or like they've said, didn't have
Right.
cell phones, anything like that that's been the biggest change since you started in real estate?
no, I think,
Maybe. Was Zillow as big as it
Maybe-
was then?
I don't know. I think it kind of was.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is when COVID came,
Yeah,
a lot of other people, from my perspective, a lot of other people were forced to work remotely. And I was already doing it. And so it made it a little more mentally okay for me. You know, I was like, oh, okay, other people are, you know,
yeah.
are doing that.
Yeah.
Because we already had, you know, like
I've been
all our.
practicing at this.
Yeah, we had all of our, you know, Dropbox in place, and we'd Zoom meet and stuff like that before COVID ever hit.
Yeah,
But that's because we're home-based.
yeah. So who has been your biggest influence in real estate? Or multiple if you've had multiple?
Yeah, I mean, I observe people. They don't know that. I guess we probably all do that, though. But, I mean, a lot of people in this room, honestly, is, you know, I just observe. And people have, I say niche, but I think it's niche. What is it?
We'll go with
Niche or niche?
Yeah.
I like niche.
I switch them.
I know. Anyway, everyone has their niche, right?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, Beth has her neighborhood, and Mark has, you know, a lot of Old Town, and Vivian has, you know, the killer, you know, listings that everybody loves with her photography. And I mean, you know, but everybody's got their thing. And so be the best thing that you're in
Yeah.
is really the thing, you know.
Would you say that you have one, and what would that?
I mean, mine's
feel like?
investors,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it's my personality, because I'm just sort of, you know, sounds like. But blunt, you know, yeah, and I don't like a lot of, like, don't take 5 sentences to tell me what you really called me about, just say it.
Yeah.
Just say
Spit
it,
it
you know,
out.
and in your email, I don't need 5 sentences of, you know, have you had a wonderful day? Okay, just tell me. And so that's kind of the way the investors are.
Yeah.
So it works good for me,
Yeah,
yeah.
we talk the same language.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's why I have blonde hair, because my personality, we were talking about this, my personality is kind of harsh,
Uh-huh.
and so it just makes me look nicer. To be blonde, no, it does.
That is so funny. So,
Psychology.
at what point in your life or career did you discover that?
Oh, early on. Very early on.
What were you before?
Very dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I could almost
Probably
see
like
you trying
Kristen,
red
yeah.
and being like, no, that seems angry.
One time I had them in the chair. I got this wild hair to go brown again, and I had them switch me to brown. And when they took the towel off, I was like, I said, if it doesn't fry my hair, please put the
Put it
blonde
back.
Yeah, I can't go home like this.
You were like, I look angry all of a sudden. That's so funny.
Mean.
So do you have goals of where you want to go in the future as far as, do you want your team to reach a certain number? Are you happy where it is now? Do you have?
I'm happy where
Yeah.
I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of irons in the fire, and you know, we have 5 kids, and you know, all that kind of junk, and so I'm happy with where I'm at.
What's your passion outside of work? Your biggest passion?
I love to travel. I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
my biggest thing, because to me, someone can be, that's probably not a PC word again, but ignorant. You know what I mean by that, right? You can be not knowing a lot and travel a lot, and you're gonna have a wealth of knowledge. I mean, it's just, it teaches you more than you can do anything. And so when we homeschooled the kids, we traveled based on our history lessons. So when we were in Civil War, we went to DC and Williamsburg and, you know, Yorktown, Jamestown, all kind of junk. And I mean, you know, you remember things better when you're there and you see it in person. So
Yeah,
that's
you
my
experience
passion.
it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
experience it, you know. And it kind of gives you too, like a bird's eye view of the U.S., I guess, or whatever, that not everything's done like Southeast Texas, you know?
Do you think that it has helped you as far as influencing the advice that you give to your investors or things like that, having a broader knowledge of, I mean, because whenever you travel, you see different kinds of
Yeah.
architecture, you see, like you said, other things that we don't necessarily experience regularly here.
Yeah, like a bad thing about me is, like, I like the Old Town stuff, but I can walk in a weird house and think it's awesome. Like,
like
I don't
quirky
know,
stuff?
yeah, it's weird, so
Yeah.
it's bad. I have to think, okay, does the rest of the world like this? Because
Yeah.
I'm wanting the prices high.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome and amazing, you know? But the rest of the world's like,
Try again.
that's odd, yeah. I'm not sure, so,
Then you have to do your, I love your house, you love your house, but everybody else.
not everybody
Yeah.
else, yes. So, yeah, I have to keep that in check.
Yeah. Is there any kind of a red flag that you could remember that you've had to experience in your deal, in any of your deals, that you would advise a new agent, like, if you see this, run? You know what I mean?
Oh.
Because I think we've all gone through some that were like, that one sticks with me.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing would be security, you know. I had a weird deal one time where this guy, I mean, I checked him out on, you know, you check people out on Facebook and all of this, and so I,
I
right?
stalk them too.
Yeah, you don't call it stalking.
I do.
I
I'm like, I do, yeah.
I do it, it's fun.
I don't tell them that's what I call it.
As soon as they call me, what's your
We're
name?
amongst friends,
You
yeah.
know, I'm gonna look you up. But yeah, he had a Facebook, he checked out, I mean, everything checked out. But he was from, I think, California. Maybe that should have been my first clue. I don't know. But he was from California, and he was a heavy investor. I could see it. He flew a lot. I could see that on his Facebook. But things weren't right. And so he booked a time to come and look at houses, and we had a big list and everything. And then it was weird, like something about his car broke down, and he was at the hotel, and if I could pick him up, and I was like, I don't know, none of this sounds, and he was cash, you know, so no, like a lender had checked his stuff, and yeah, anyway, so I always like, be careful, you know, you're about by yourself, and how you show a house is.
So did you take him or not?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
And you know what? He fell completely off the face of the earth.
Wow.
Like never.
No, but I think that's a good
Yeah.
piece of advice, and not to ever want a deal so bad that you would be willing to, you know,
No.
Go
look
against
past
your
those things,
instinct,
yeah.
Yeah, going against your instinct, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? I haven't stopped and asked anything, and if you would like to ask Lori specifically?
What ages are your kids now?
So I'm not a date person. 36, 22, 22, 20, and 10.
Wow.
Yeah. That's called perpetual
Wait a minute.
parenting. You have that too. Yeah.
Huge.
Do you already
I
know what
know.
your big goal is gonna be for this year? Is it usually a trip or something like that that is your goal?
That's
whenever
part
planning
of,
it?
that's part of the business goal. There's no big goal.
Yeah.
It's goals.
Mhm.
And so my travels are part of the goal.
Mhm.
I don't always know exactly where I'm gonna go, but like, you know,
You're
that's
going
part of the
somewhere,
goal.
yeah.
Or, you know, am I buying one or two or whatever I'm doing investment property wise and all of that. So I'm on track this year,
Yeah.
for sure.
How frequently do you end up investing? I know you're saying you buy one or two. Do you usually do one per year, or is that?
Yeah, except since the rates are so crazy, and I'm talking about interest rates, I'm just talking about the house price,
Mhm.
prices. It's just,
Nothing out there.
yeah, it's hard, you know, and for people who want to hold the property and rent it,
Mhm.
it's just not meeting my calculations right now. But like, I met with my financial guy recently, and he's like, well, you're lagging behind. And so I kind of got to thinking, I guess it may not be great for this year or next year, but I still should buy it, because still, you know, I mean, your equity's going to increase.
Yeah.
The value of the home is going to increase, so.
Do you feel like being on that side of the deal as often as you are, that influences the decisions that you have, or not the decisions, the conversations that you have with clients? I mean, because you kind of understand it
Yeah.
more freshly, you know what I mean? Like, you've seen it recently and
Yeah.
gone through it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're really in
Yeah.
their shoes.
Yeah,
over and over
definitely.
again.
And like creative, I call it creative financing, you know, so just because you don't have 20,000 sitting in your bank account to put down on a house, you can get it a lot of different ways. So, you know, it's just talking to people.
Yeah.
On, you know, how to be creative.
Yeah, I love that. So what would you say is your greatest strength in your business?
Maybe, I'm real organized,
Mhm.
you know, so maybe I guess that,
I love that.
yeah.
Is there any way that you could, any advice that you could give for somebody that's starting out as far as to stay organized? I know that that's hard. I feel like it's either you are that
I
personality or
know.
you're not. I'm needing it personally. Do you
It's
use like
hard.
checklists or
Oh,
calendars
yeah,
or things
yeah.
like that?
But I mean, I lose thoughts, you know, so I put everything on paper, you know, but yeah, I do. And I have it's so crazy. You ever put something on your computer and you never, like a little note, and you tape it? So there was something that Charlie said, he probably not gonna remember it, I know. It was so good, it was 5 points, it's basically 5 things, health, wealth,
Oh.
yeah, and
Yes.
I look at it every day, it's on my base of but I don't put it in my brain because it's there. But anyway, I do revisit that every day to go, am I meeting, pretty much these goals? That, again, the workout in pencil just never happened. So,
It's right under there with workout.
Yeah.
it's somewhere in there, but yeah, I think
Yeah, the science
checklists.
tells us that even if you write that down and you crumple it up and throw it away, you have a 25% chance of accomplishing it once you just did the
Just
art
wrote
of
it?
writing it down.
And you're
So
doing it every
revisiting every
day.
day
Yeah.
is, you'll be exercising in no time.
Silver lining.
I feel so
love it.
guilty, I'm gonna go work out.
We're all gonna text you later like, Lori.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
Go.
You've got a giant accountability group.
Yeah. I shouldn't have told y'all
That's
this.
Yeah.
funny. So then on the flip side, I always ask this, but in the spirit of always improving, is there one part of your business that you would like to grow in, or still, or personally?
Well, my goal for last year, was new construction, that I wanted to increase my new construction business, and that did happen, and that was pretty much built by relationships. If I could, you can't always kind of figure out where your stuff comes from. You just sort of think it might come from this direction, and so I would say, it was good service to a builder, and it just kind of kept repeating, and then I just became more involved in his life with his family and everything like that, and so.
Yeah. How do you nurture those relationships? Because to start off as early as you guys did and to stay connected like that, is there anything specific that you do that you reach out and touch your sphere? He's got something after us, but.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, would you say a good business plan would be do an amazing job, repeat?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it
Is
just?
that in the back of somebody's
That
t-shirt?
builds a relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's very good, yes.
Take that.
Yeah, and I mean, just, well, sometimes it's that you wrote them on your, they came up, either you have a CRM that, reminds you of things, or whatever your thing is, a Google Calendar, or whatever it is you do. Sometimes it is truly that they just popped up and you're like, I'm gonna call this person.
Yeah.
But for your real close people, you're just doing life with them.
Yeah.
You really are. You're
Yeah.
just doing life with them.
I love that.
I think it's cool too because you're the builder that you are getting to work with so much. I mean, that's a Lumberton family.
Yeah.
It's Lumberton, really deep roots, and I think that's great because that's where the majority of your focus has been. So it's kind of been this really fun natural evolution to watch. Speaking for myself.
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
originally from Lumberton?
No, so I'm from Port Neches.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, are you from Port Neches? Oh, Nederland. My husband's Nederland. Poor thing.
I don't wear
we-
purple.
Yeah.
Oh, I bleed purple.
So do y'all
I do.
still have rivalry in the house whenever the game happens every year?
He doesn't care like I do.
Oh. That's so funny.
Right, there's something about that, I think. But yeah, we left Port Neches, and we bought a farm,
Like
was
a
milking
farm.
cows and slaughtering, I kid you not, all the whole works. That's when we were homeschooling, because we were homesteading, because we were good homeschoolers. And
love
I
that.
made the switch about the time where the kids were just getting into, I guess, middle school, and they weren't into it as much. They were really into it when we lived in Groves.
Yeah.
And so then we came to Lumberton, because they forced my hand.
Were there any specific classes that you had to take or decided to take early on to get comfortable with either dealing with investors or builders or things like that? Because those
Yeah.
are two that are
I did the
unique.
CRES,
Yeah.
SRES, which is short sales and foreclosures, and then that's part of my goal is 3, I think, little initial doodads, you know,
Designations.
and
I like
designations.
it. Doodads are good
Doodads.
too.
And that's part of my goal. So, you know, I just look back to go, it's time to do a new one this year.
Yeah.
And you base it upon kind of what you want or what your goal is, you know. So like probably I need to do a new construction one next.
Yeah,
Something
I like that a lot.
But one of my other new construction folks, I know you're talking about Ryan, is he was an investor and is now a builder,
Yes.
you know, clay. So
Yes.
I think we've done, and I tell, you know, so like if you give your team member a lead, a lot of times that split is different, you know, than if they brought it themselves. And I always use clay as an example because I think we're 25 or 6 transactions, you know, now together.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and he started flipping flooded and gutted homes, and now he's building homes. And so I said, and he came from a sign call. I said, so one client that I hand over, or that someone hands over to us, however it goes, could be a clay, could be a 25, 26 transaction and still counting person, you know? It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It really is cool to think about. I love that.
yeah.
So I know you also have a podcast that's going to be, that you were on, that will
Yeah,
be aired. And if
yeah.
you want to share for anybody that also wants to watch
So
that.
Elite
when it comes up, 'cause I
Agents,
think it's good.
and I don't know when it's coming out. I think we're probably 2 weeks away still. But Elite Agents is what that was.
Okay. When did you say, about 2 weeks away?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. You'll have to let us know
Yeah, I'll
when it gets
let you know,
closed. I
yeah.
want to hear it
I
too.
can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, does anybody else have any other questions for Lori? Well, Lori, I'm so glad that you joined me.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it. It's been fun, and
Yeah.
I hope you have a great rest of the year and keep kicking butt.
Yay, Lori!